Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a look at how the way we make everything is getting a massive overhaul. We're digging into the ideas from mindful making to see how the blueprint for creating products is being completely rewritten for a sustainable future.
Okay, so let's start with a question. Think about the phone in your pocket, the clothes you're wearing, pretty much anything you own. Every single one of those items has a story, right? A story that started way before it got to you, and one that continues long after you're done with it. But what's the real cost of that story? The hidden cost.
To get to the answer, we first have to look at the way we've been doing things for a long, long time. A system that has basically built this, throwaway culture we're all living in. For decades, modern industry has followed this really simple but ultimately very broken path. We take resources from the planet, we make stuff out of them, and when we're finished, we just throw it away. It's a one-way street, straight from the earth to the landfill. And when you break down this old model, it really boils down to two things: speed and quick cash. The main goal is just to get a product out the door as fast and as cheap as possible, without a whole lot of thought about what happens to it at the end of its life, or who and what gets impacted along the way. But things are changing, big time. There's a new mindful approach that's emerging, and it completely flips the script on what it means to create something new. This chart just lays it out so clearly, right? The old goal was all about fast and cheap. The new goal, creating value that lasts. The model goes from a straight line to a circle. And look at the stakeholders. It's not just about investors and customers anymore. Now we're talking about communities, ecosystems, even future generations. It's a whole different ballgame. And this image here, wow. It just shows you how much bigger this new way of thinking is. We're not just tweaking the old system. We are literally drawing an entirely new map, one with a much, much wider view of the world. So what's the North Star for this new map? It's this idea of the circular economy. The goal here is actually pretty simple, but it's totally revolutionary. Design waste out of the system, like completely. It's all about making things that can be reused, repaired, and remade, keeping all that good stuff in the loop instead of in a landfill. But here's the kicker. For this whole thing to actually work, you can't just tack it on at the end. The real power, the magic, it happens right at the very, very beginning. Why so early? Well, check out this number, 80%. Research from the European Commission shows that a whopping 80% of a product's lifetime environmental damage is basically locked in while it's still on the drawing board. That's just huge. And this quote just nails it. The biggest decisions, what's it made of? How much power will it use? Can it be recycled later? All of that is decided before a single piece ever gets made. Sustainability has to be baked in from the start. It has to be in the product's DNA. So how do you do that? The tool for the job is called life cycle thinking. It basically forces you to zoom out and look at the entire life of a product, from digging the raw materials out of the ground, to making and shipping it, to you actually using it in your home, and then what happens after you're done. Every single one of these steps matters. All right, let's get a little more concrete here. How does this mindful approach actually apply to the physical product itself? The stuff it's made of and the supply chains that bring it to you. So when we think about a company's carbon footprint, we usually picture smokestacks on a factory, right? Well, take a look at this chart. That's just a tiny piece of the puzzle. The vast majority of emissions, what we call Scope 3 emissions, are actually coming from the supply chain. That's where the biggest impacts can be made. So how do you tackle this? By making smarter choices about materials. Apple, for instance, now uses 100% recycled aluminum for its MacBook cases. Tesla uses it to cut down on the massive amount of energy it takes to build a car. These aren't just little tweaks, they're total game changers for our product's footprint. And this mindful thinking creates a ripple effect through the whole supply chain. It's about more than just materials. It's about choosing partners who share your values, like Patagonia does. It's about ensuring ethical sourcing, like Fairphone is known for. And it's even about rethinking manufacturing and logistics, like Toyota and Lush have pioneered. Now for the really interesting part. All of this effort, this mindful, sustainable design, it isn't just good for the planet. Turns out it's incredibly good for business. And you don't have to take my word for it. Look at this data. It's crystal clear. For big companies like Tesla, Apple, and Unilever, there is a direct, positive link between their sustainability efforts and their brand value. As one goes up, so does the other. Consumers see it, and they reward it. The business case is just a slam dunk. Internally, you get more efficient, you cut costs, and you attract the best talent, people who want to work for a company that actually stands for something. And on the outside, you stand out from the competition, you build a more resilient business, and maybe most importantly, you earn real, deep trust with your customers.
So the ultimate takeaway is this. We are way past the point where sustainability is a nice-to-have feature you slap on a box. It is now the very foundation, the fundamental price of entry for any product that hopes to succeed and build a lasting brand. Which leaves us with a final question. The old map, it's obsolete. We have a new one that shows a better way to design, build, and create. The power to shape a more sustainable future is in the hands of its makers. The only question is, what will we choose to make?